The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.
Welcome in to another episode of the Morning Sports Desk with CJ and Corey, powered by Pizza Ranch and the Fun Zone Arcade. I'm CJ and Corey over there, and we're kind of into the thick of the new year, Corey. It feels like we're ramping up into a lot of high school sports and some big state sport games as well.
Some big state sports games. Really looking forward to talking about the Gopher football game a little bit tonight, and then obviously Vikings football on Sunday. We're going to have, I'm sure, a lot to talk about with that Vikings game, but also re-ramping back up with our high school sports coverage. You had a non-conference, I guess, section boys basketball game last night. We probably need to start there, huh, CJ?
Yeah, Wadena Deer Creek hosting a Section 8 AA opponent in Warroad last night. Warroad came in as a 9-0 team, and sometimes with those 9-0 teams, Corey, you wonder, especially with those teams up north, there's no real like opponents to compare them to. How good is this team really? Warroad's a nice squad. They're a good team. Yeah. They're only about 7, maybe 8 deep on their bench, and that's maybe. And they have guys that get after it. They go up and down the floor. They meet you right at half court. They are in your face defense. That's what Coach Thunberg described to me pregame is kind of what they've seen. And that's pretty much what we saw when that game started. And it just kind of wore down the Wolverines throughout the game. Warroad cruised to an 81-40 victory over Wadena Deer Creek. And I know this isn't like local sports, but it's cool to shout out a milestone. Kassan Pateski, a senior for Warroad, got his 1,000th point on a buzzer beater at the end of the first half, about 3 steps behind the 3-point line in the left side wing, which is a cool moment there to get to see. But Warroad's a team come tournament time that Wadena Deer Creek, if you're saying this for travel-wise, you're hoping you don't have to go to, but they're a team that's going to look to be towards the top of the section, and Wadena Deer Creek found out why. Young team, kind of happens. It's the way the game works. Wolverines have a chance to bounce back. They play Crookston on Saturday. They go up and make that long road trip Saturday night. So they'll have a chance to get back in the win column there, Corey, but that was their first Section 8 AA game of the season.
Sure. Excellent. What else? Anything?
Yeah. We're back at it tonight. Wadena Deer Creek girls basketball. They take on a Park Region Conference opponent in the Henning Hornets. And for the Wolverines, trying to get in the win column here and keep their solid season rolling. You can listen to that game on 101.7 FM and AM 920 KWAD. Also listen online at WadenaRadio.com/KWAD. And Corey, you had a better chance to look at this as I'm double checking here on the Park Region Conference website to reconfirm game times. This game did get moved up to a 7 p.m. tip-off, which means it's a 6:45 pregame for this one between the Hornets and the Wolverines. Taking a look at the Park Region Conference standings as we now have gone into the new year, Monaga and Wadena Deer Creek sitting atop the conference at 4-0, Bertha Hewitt 3-2, Sabika and Pillager 2-2, New York Mills 1-1, Henning 0-4, Verndale 0-5. For the Hornets, they're looking for their first win of the season. They've had a tough go of it so far. They're a young team. They graduated, obviously, some solid seniors and just have kind of had a drain over the last few years of some of the really, really, really excellent teams that they've had. And that's the way high school sports goes. And they're just a team that's looking to find that next group of players. And a volleyball team the same way. You lose some of those players, and now it's time to find the next group of girls. And that's what Henning is trying to do right now as they try and find that first win of the season and see how they compete tonight against the Wadena Deer Creek Wolverines. Corey, coming into this game for Wadena Deer Creek, they have a nice season so far, 7-2 overall, 4-0 in the conference, 2-2 in Section 8 AA, 4-0 on the home floor, 3-2 on the road. Wolverines trying to get back into the win column after having two tough-fought section losses against Barnesville and Pelican Rapids, both on the road. Their first home game in a couple weeks, so they're looking to get back at it tonight. And again, KWAD 101.7 FM, AM 920, also online at WadenaRadio.com/KWAD. And Corey, you can find our full broadcast schedule online at WadenaRadio.com.
Do it.
Do it.
Do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go there. There's stuff there.
There's stuff that you may find important.
stuff we like anyway.
Yeah, exactly. This is what the whole point of this podcast.
You just know that it's for us.
It's for us. Almost everything we do in this show is for us, and we just hope you enjoy it along the way.
If not, too bad. We're not stopping.
We are not stopping this train now. Okay, so the Minnesota Golden Gopher football team is getting ready for their biggest game of the season because it's the last game of the season. Win or go home. I mean, literally, you win, then go home. Win, go home. Like
win and go home.
Win and go home. Your season's done. Although it's nice for them. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. They're going to be playing at Bank of America Stadium, where the Carolina Panthers play in the NFL, for the Duke's Mayo Bowl, one of the better bowl games in terms of memery before the Pop-Tarts Bowl came along. Everybody talked about the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and then the Pop-Tarts Bowl, man, just blew it out of the water. Everything that bowl game should be in this day and age, the Pop-Tarts Bowl has done, but it wouldn't have been done without the Duke's Mayo Bowl crawling so the Pop-Tarts Bowl could run.
The Pop-Tarts Bowl is perfect, but the Duke's Mayo Bowl is also awesome. Are you a Duke's or a Hellman's or a Tangy Zip of Miracle Whip kind of guy? Wait a minute. You're definitely none of the above.
I'll eat mayonnaise. If it's on a sandwich, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to eat it. But I'm not like going to Subway and being like, lather that mayonnaise on that sandwich.
Sure.
Not for me. If somebody is if you're at like a funeral and then you go into the church basement and then there's like little ham sandwiches there for everybody to eat and somebody's put butter and mayonnaise on the bread, I'm not going to be like, ooh, I guess I'm not eating. No, I'll eat it, but I'm not going to like go grab a big old thing of Miracle Whip and throw it on there. So I'm not a Duke's guy.
What's in your house? What's in the fridge at your house right now?
Right now, we just went grocery shopping, so it's hard to tell. But like 4 sandwiches, you can throw a little butter on there. That's
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Throw a little. I don't like it. I think you can overdo butter on things. I think it can.
Mayo all the way. Mayo, but I'm a Tangy Zip guy. Shout out give me the Miracle Whip every single time.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, every time. And again, yeah, I'm not drinking it.
Right. I don't need a healthy amount. I just need like a little bit. You just need it to like, not make the sandwich so dry,
Right.
That's all it's for. It's like when you have a chicken sandwich, you put that Chick-fil-A sauce on there.
Your butter over mayonnaise?
Yeah, I would say so. But I'm not like super excited about the butter because again, it's like putting I'm not anti-mustard, but I am not pro mustard, if that makes sense. Like nothing irritates me more.
On mustard.
Nothing irritates me more than when you go to like a fast food restaurant or any restaurant where they put the condiments on your burger ahead of time and they put too much mustard on there or put too much lettuce or too much whatever. Because then at that point, all I'm tasting is mustard or lettuce. I want to taste the burger with a hint of mustard and a hint of lettuce. I'm buying the burger, not a mustard flavored sandwich,
It just sounds to me like you don't like mustard.
I'm not a huge mustard guy, but that being said, it takes over the sandwich. Ketchup you can go too heavy on, but like ketchup doesn't overtake the taste like putting too much lettuce on a burger. You know what I mean? I want a little crunch. I don't want to eat a salad.
You and I have very different opinions on food.
It's part of, again, what makes this podcast special. It's not for anybody else but us, and we just hope somebody gets some enjoyment out of this along the way. Hey, the Gophers play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Don't know if you know that. 6:30 kickoff tonight. Is that on? It's not on ESPN, is it? It's on like Fox or something. I don't know. I'll look this up here. Duke's.
It's going to be on your TV.
It's not on ESPN. I think it's like the one bowl game that doesn't get on.
If you have YouTube TV like me, it'll just show up on your screen and then I'll pick it.
Yes.
So anyway, it's the Gophers and Virginia Tech tonight. I mean, I don't know. Has PJ Fleck lost a bowl game? I don't think so. It
is on ESPN. All right, there you go.
The Gophers. It's easy. Gophers.
Might as well. They have everybody playing for the most part. I believe maybe Justin Wally, the safety, isn't playing. But other than that, the Gophers have a lot of guys playing. Brosmer wants to try and play in the NFL. It's a tough sled, but he needs to put as much tape out there as he can. So he has incentive to play and to like play hard in this game. He probably won't get in the NFL, but hey, there's a shot he could be a UFL guy if he plays his cards right. So I think for the Gophers, we've talked about this a lot, Corey, but you're feeling pretty confident the Gophers get a win. Explain your reasoning.
They don't lose bowl games. PJ Fleck doesn't lose a bowl game.
That's not even hyperbole. He hasn't.
You give him this much time to prepare. They win. Now, the Gophers' problem over the years under PJ Fleck is they sometimes don't come into games ready, but that is on a week-by-week basis. They didn't come into the North Carolina game ready. They didn't go into the Michigan game ready, but they make adjustments well, and they fight their way back into games. If you give Fleck plenty of time to prepare, the North Carolina game notwithstanding, they're just going to be they're just going to be prepared for this game. They're going to probably look super good. What's his nuts, the running back, is going to probably rush for close to 200 yards. It's just, they just don't, they're good in these bowl games. PJ Fleck takes them very, very seriously, as he should.
Sky Umau, roll the boat, go Gophers. Is that a horns up there, Corey, for the NDSU national championship on Monday night?
No, that's rock and roll.
I think this is I think this is I love you in sign language, so it's kind of close. The only reason I knew that is because everybody, like in school, they'd always like make you do it, like trace it with a piece of paper and cut it out, and then it's like what you do for Valentine's Day. And my like 8-year-old brain is like, "What are you talking about? This is Spider-Man." Like, he's flicking the webs, you know? That's I never understood that.
Yeah, I don't think if you did this in sign language, people would be like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah, to be like, okay. Well, one, if they understood sign language, you'd be like, "This is a little aggressive." Like, I can tolerate you, I guess. Like, and if people don't understand sign language, they're like, "Wait, who do you think you are, Spider-Man? Like, what are you doing?" All right. So yeah, I think the Gophers win this game. I think that they end up coming through. Virginia Tech has a few people sitting out. I don't think it matters. I think the Gophers just are the better team. I think they'll have guys playing. I think they'll run the football well, and I think that
Michael Vick playing?
No, I don't believe so.
Miller playing?
No.
Is Frank Beamer the coach?
No.
I'll take the Gophers.
Yeah. Mike Vick actually is coaching Norfolk State.
Yeah, I'll take the Gophers.
Deshaun Jackson's a head coach of some program in the FCS, by the way. I can't remember what school it is, but I can't believe that.
Hey, man, he's a football guy.
He's a football guy, and he's a celebrity, which is what a lot of these lower colleges are trying to do, is hire a celebrity to help out your recruiting, to at least give you some kind of way to stick out in the crowd.
Probably doesn't matter the scheme so much if you have the best players.
And if you just hire experienced coaches and make them do all the work, and you just basically CEO the team, which is what a lot of college coaches are at this point. So, yeah, there you go. One thing before we're done wrapping up on college. I mean, Corey, talk about the SEC conference and their dominance in this college football playoff. I mean,
I have paid no attention to any games. I have no idea if you're making a joke or being serious.
Georgia got boat raced by Notre Dame last night.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Texas needed a targeting call that should have been called, that wasn't called because, let me put it to you this way. I know you have strong feelings about this. There was no targeting call called, even though everything was by the letter of the law targeting in that Texas-Arizona State game that would have given Arizona State a first down on probably the Texas 35-yard line, with, I believe, at least one timeout in about 45 seconds. So they have time to maybe get a little closer, but at the very least, it moves them in the field goal range. And then they don't call targeting, which means it's a 4th and 5. Arizona State punts. Game goes to overtime. Arizona State loses in overtime. And it felt like everybody who's like a rules expert said that's targeting. And it felt like the officials in college football went, we can't make that call in this spot. How do you feel about that?
Get over it. They missed it. Did they miss it? I don't know. I have no idea what
the two face masks came into contact with each other.
I didn't see it. They probably blew it. They probably got the wrong call. I just don't care. I don't care about either of those teams. I don't care about either of the like. If you were to tell me, how do you feel that Arizona State beat whoever? I'm like, cool. How do you feel that Texas ended up winning that game? Cool. I just get the calls right. And then if you don't, move on, get over it. I don't, I've watched no bowl games. I've watched 0 college football playoffs, whatever this is, any of the bowl games. I'll watch the Gophers tonight. I'll watch the national championship, whenever that is, seemingly 6 weeks from now.
You didn't watch the Pop-Tart Bowl?
I haven't watched a second of a college football game. I haven't watched a single bowl game. I haven't watched a single playoff game.
He's a toaster.
None of them. Haven't watched a second. I don't care.
You missed the Pop-Tart sacrifice.
Doesn't matter.
The guy from Iowa State got to pick which Pop-Tart, which flavor of Pop-Tart got to go in the toaster.
Sounds super stupid. I'm not sorry I missed it. Sounds like a total waste of my time.
It's the biggest thing, though, to the general point is that it's trying to make is basically, like we've talked about this all the time of like officials where it's like, well, in that spot, you can't call it. If it's a penalty with anything, like just call it. There's not.
It's a penalty. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, any of them. I don't think they kept their flag in their pocket because you can't make that call there. It's just not what I believe. I do believe that they miss it, but I also believe if it's a penalty, it's a penalty.
Yeah. All right. We're going to talk a little Minnesota Vikings, Corey.
Yeah.
Big game. Potentially the biggest game in franchise history. We'll debate that in a second here.
Regular season.
We'll talk about it a little more, but if you want to get in the Vikings mode here and you want to get in the game, if you want to get in the Viking spirit, your Skull spirit, if you will, there's a good chance to do that by doing something right here in Wadena. You got a little info on that, Corey?
Well, thanks to Pizza Ranch and the Fun Zone Arcade in Wadena, they've got prizes galore in that arcade. Right now, as a matter of fact, we're looking at a picture ourselves of a Vikings gold helmet signed by Justin Jefferson. And I have bad news, CJ, for you. You can't win it because that prize was actually claimed yesterday.
Wow.
But prizes like that are available for you at the Fun Zone Arcade. We're talking about mystery jerseys, mystery autographs, non-mystery autographs like this Justin Jefferson helmet. And if you haven't been in the Fun Zone Arcade, if you haven't been into Pizza Ranch in Wadena, you need to do it. We're just so happy to have them on board, a part of the morning sports desk. Check this out. We're getting ready, obviously, for the weekend, a great time to take yourself or the kids or your friends or whatever it is into Pizza Ranch, into the arcade, into the Fun Zone Arcade. But looking ahead, they do half price play on Mondays where all games are half price. That is every single Monday. There's a bunch of new games, including the Godzilla VR, described to me as Jurassic Park on steroids. And let me tell you, I have an almost 7-year-old and an almost 5-year-old who have asked me every single day since hearing about this if we can go play. And we're going to go this weekend. It is finally on our to-do list to go check that out. Tons of games. There's birthday party packages. You know what the Pizza Ranch is all about. Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade in Wadena. Highly recommend the stuffed crust. It's my favorite pizza from the Pizza Ranch. And oh, by the way, chicken and mashed potatoes and salad and pudding and ice cream and dessert pizza and breadsticks and marinara and chicken fingers, chicken, those things, those chicken things. What are those called?
Chicken fries.
Chicken fries. There we go. Chicken fries. Pizza Ranch, powering the morning sports desk.
Awesome. Corey, is this the biggest regular season game in Minnesota Vikings history?
I didn't know you were going to ask me this question, so I hadn't had the opportunity to really think about it, but I can't. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason to think it's not. Like in the, maybe if you want to go back to like, because, looking at I want to say, in 2015, that season where the Vikings went to Lambeau in the final game of the season to win the division, they beat Aaron Rodgers. It was, to set up the home game at TCF Bank Stadium. That was a big regular season game. That was the second year of the Mike Zimmer era. Teddy
that was Teddy?
That was Teddy. Yeah. That was when that set up the Blair Walsh game.
Was that did they have to beat the Pack? Like were the Packers?
Both teams were in the playoffs. It was who was going to win the division.
Okay.
So that was a big one. That was also Sunday Night Football, like to end the regular season. So that's maybe the closest, but that was like to get the 3 seed or something like that, or the 4 seed. Like that wasn't to get a first round bye.
One of the division winners, right?
Right. That's to get a home playoff game
Mhm.
and a high seed. Where actually, in retrospect, the Vikings should have taken that game. They should have lost that game because Green Bay went to go play Kirk Cousins in Washington and they rolled, and the Vikings played Seattle in negative 40-degree weather, and you know how that game worked out. They still actually could have, would have, should have, but they should have won. They played well enough to win that game. That darn kicker and Adrian Peterson fumbling in a fourth quarter of a playoff game. When does that ever happen?
Listen, people tell me the 1997 Golden Gopher men's basketball team doesn't exist. They're wrong. It does. That Vikings team doesn't exist.
Otherwise, in 1998, I mean, they just rolled where it didn't really matter. There was no big regular season game because they were just so good. There was nobody really who they met that was kind of on their level. I mean, you know, do you include like playing the Packers once or playing the Cowboys? But they like obliterated them. So it wasn't even like, in retrospect, it's not really a big game. 2009, the Vikings, they kind of were weird down the stretch. They started out hot, and then they kind of got weird. They lost to Chicago. They didn't play well against Carolina, 2 teams that were bad that year. So, like, you know, 2009 didn't have a game that was as big as this late in the season up until playoffs. Trying to really go through the line. I mean,
well, there's too much at stake, right? All of those games that you're mentioning have bits and pieces of what this game includes, which is no 2 teams with this many wins have ever played each other in the last game of the regular season. It's the most combined wins of 2 teams competing for this. Teams have played to win the division in the last game of the year, but it's never really happened where they've competed to win the division and fighting to be the number 1 seed. It'll be the first time ever a team with 14 wins will be a wild card. It's insane what's at stake. It's a division title. It's a 1 seed in the conference. It's an opening round bye. It's all of the things that you need to succeed, like you talked about a little bit yesterday in the morning sports desk. If you want to succeed in the playoffs, you have to be it really is beneficial to be the number 1 seed, everything the Kansas City Chiefs do notwithstanding.
Yeah, I mean, the 1 seed is huge because, I mean, you think about it you talk about the Chiefs, you talk about the Patriots in years past, those teams got the 1 seed every single season. And what does that set you up to do? Well, it gets you 1, a first round bye. So now you get to rest. 2, you get an extra week to scout your potential opponents. And also, I mean, the week of rest is just huge for everybody, but also the fact of all the games are in your building. You don't have to go on the road. If the Vikings were to get a wild card and they have to go to likely LA, by the way, if LA's resting their starters, Tampa has to win. And that could potentially move Tampa ahead of LA, where the Vikings would have to go to LA. You have to go all the way to the West Coast. And then let's say you win that game. You got to go to Detroit. So you go all the way to the West Coast, and then you go all the way back. Or you got to go to Philadelphia, in which case you go all the way to the East Coast. That's a lot of travel. That's a lot of stuff. The other teams are fighting tooth and nail. Like, that's not ideal. And then let's say you win that game. You got to go to Detroit. Or there's a lot of things that have to go right for you to be a wild card team that has to play all their games on the road to go to the Super Bowl. Whereas you get a first round bye, you already get a ticket into the divisional round. All you have to do, and this is where the Patriots and Chiefs helped out, all you got to do is win 2 games and you're in the Super Bowl. Whereas you got to win 3 games in a row against good teams to go to the Super Bowl as a wild card team. It's on the road.
It's not just rest either, by the way. It is a potential lack thereof.
Right.
Because you are going to play the very last game of the entire NFL regular season. There's no Monday Night Football. The games this week, there was no Thursday Night Football. The games this weekend are Saturday and Sunday. So there is a chance that if you lose Sunday night, the very last game, it might not sound like the biggest difference in the world, but you might end up playing that first game on Saturday. So it could be that not only you go from getting a very much deserved and needed break to getting the shortest rest possible.
You have to play a Saturday game, which could happen.
Yes, they could play that first game at like noon on Saturday against, I don't know, the Rams or Atlanta or whoever. I don't know when they play, but they might get their full week. I don't know if they play on Saturday this weekend or not at all. I haven't.
Only like the AFC North or something like that, or it's like all one division.
Okay, so that does make a difference, but it doesn't. It does mean your break is just a little shorter,
mm-hmm.
and it matters especially now.
And of course, I don't think this is as true as it has been throughout the rest of the season, but Detroit's a team where you got to fight tooth and nail. Whereas, let's say they play Tampa. Well, Tampa's going to play, they're playing New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's Atlanta. Atlanta's playing Carolina. Let's say it's the Rams. They're resting their starters. Matt Stafford is they're half their team is getting a bye, like a self-induced bye. So, like, yeah, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail and lose and go through that, like, emotional turmoil. And the bye is huge. Everything about this is huge. Everybody knows that. I think we've done a good job of saying it. I think the Vikings do win this game. I think because of a couple things. I think the fact that the Lions are just more banged up, and it's not the fact that their defense is just banged up. It's the fact that it's their secondary where they lose Carlton Davis, their corner, who they signed. They love to play man, do the Lions, and they signed him to play man against Justin Jefferson, and he's hurt. And now Justin Jefferson, who already torches the Lions, by the way, because the Lions love to play a lot of man, and Jefferson is like, okay, and shreds them down the middle of the field. Justin Jefferson may get 200 yards in this game. Like, he is going to shred them. The 49ers are moving the ball in Detroit, and the 49ers have been weird and hurt all season long. And Brock Purdy, like, has to get Tommy John surgery or something like that. Whatever. His elbow's acting up again. He's like a pitcher. The Vikings, I think this game is going to be a shootout. It's bet the over. Whatever it is, I think the over is like 45 points or something like that total. Bet the over because that's hitting. And I think this game comes down to, and it's something that we've talked about all year long, it's going to be but in a game where everybody's going to go stride for stride on offense because the Lions are also going to score a lot. Turnovers are going to be the game. The 49ers were going to beat the Lions, except Brock Purdy threw 2 interceptions in the second half, and Detroit just scored on both of those. It's a 14-point swing. To win this game, Sam Darnold has to avoid the bad turnover that let the Packers get back in that game. And the Vikings were going to win that game regardless, but you have to avoid those turnovers to avoid kind of having to make things interesting at the end. But at the very least, that could be the thing. A random fumble by Aaron Jones, a fumble by any of the receivers, whatever you want to say. Turnovers are going to be the thing that makes or breaks this game. And the Vikings have gotten a turnover on defense in every single game this year. They might as well make it 17. So I think that's what's going to come down to it is turnovers. Whichever team wins the turnover battle is going to win this game.
The Lions are 3-point favorites. I've seen now, I just looked up the over under. It's at 52.5. You're gonna, and this is just an add-on to your point of why turnovers are going to be important. You're going to have to score every single time because Detroit is probably going to score a lot. They're going to. Their problem is, can they get stops? And it seems like quite possibly not, unless you just give it to them. So I can't think of a bigger game. Going back to our first question, I can't think of a bigger regular season game with this much at stake. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait to have that thing on Sunday night. And I tell you what, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be tired on Monday morning after watching that. It's kind of what this is all about.
It's going to be a good one. Sunday night football, 6:00 pregame, 7:20 kickoff on the Superstation, K106, 105.9 FM. And again, Sunday night football, there's always an extra thing when Carrie Underwood's singing about your favorite team as you're getting ready to watch. Adds a little extra to the game, As a kid, nothing was cooler than your team getting featured on Sunday Night Football because the Vikings weren't a team that got they're not the Dallas Cowboys. They're not the Giants or the Jets or a team in a big market. They're not the Bears where you're obligatory going to get like 3 national games a year, like just out of the sake of you just being in your market. The Vikings maybe get 1 a year. They were going to get none up until they flexed the Colts game and then they flexed this game. So it's fun to have these crews come in and to talk about your team and to get put on the stage. Pat McAfee has talked about the Vikings and Lions game every single show this week. Like, this is a game that, I mean, let's be honest, this slate of games stinks for a lot of the NFL. A lot of the playoff seeds have already been decided. You know, the final spot in the AFC is up for grabs. The NFC South winner is up for grabs. But honestly, it'll be a massive choke job if Tampa doesn't get that. It'll be a massive choke job if Denver doesn't get that against the Chiefs backups. But all those other games are going to suck. This is the game like everybody's waiting for all day. And you know what? Bring it on. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Skull, baby.
Skull to the bowl, baby. All right. Well, it's going to do it for me and Corey. This has been the Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch. We'll check you on Monday where we'll recap all this stuff.
The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.